What's up, Auntie Coachy? Did you know the average American checks their phone 96 times a day? That's right. Every 10 minutes you're out there like digital zombies hunting for validation. Congrats! We've successfully turned our attention spans into microwave popcorn. Today, I want to roast one of the biggest lies they've sold you. That being alone makes you a loser. That if you're not posting stories every 5 minutes, you've become that weird uncle who talks to health. Spoiler alert. Talking to plants is probably more productive than 90% of your group chats. So, stick with me because in the next minutes, I am gone. Show you how solitude, this terrible thing everyone avoids, can be the key to stop being an anxious hamster running on life's wheel and finally develop Monk-Level focus. And before you go, but I'm a people person, chill, sweetheart. I'm not gonna turn you into a hermit who only eats kale and falafel. I'm gonna teach you to use alone time like a gym for your brain instead of treating it like divine punishment. Because here, at the Anti-Coach Social Club, we don't sell dreams or magical success formulas. We deliver the real deal. Sometimes the best company you can have is yourself. And if that offends you, maybe that's exactly why you need to watch this video. But hold up. Let's start by deconstructing this mental mess they've made in your head. Look, there's a massive difference between being alone because you're a bitter antisocial who hates everyone, and being alone because you're smart enough to realize you need a break from the general circus. The first case is isolation. You hide from the world because you can't handle it. The second is what intellectuals call solitude, which is basically choosing to take a time out from humanity. So you do want to go around dropkicking everyone. It's like the difference between being grounded in your room versus having an awesome room you love hanging out in. One's punishment, the other's privilege. And look, I'm not making this up. Einstein came up with a theory of relativity during his sessions of solitary contemplation, which is the fancy name for staring at the ceiling thinking about life. Steve Jobs was famous for his solo walks, where he had the ideas that changed the world. Virginia Woolf wrote her masterpieces while walking alone in her garden. These weren't antisocial losers. They've discovered that creativity needs space to breathe. That insights do you want to happen in the middle of conversations about The Bachelor or at sports bars arguing about fantasy football. But modern society turned this into collective neuroses. If you're home alone on Saturday night, everyone feels sorry for you. Oh, poor thing. Has no friends. As if being alone automatically equals social failure. Result. We created a generation that's terrified of spending 5 minutes alone with their own thoughts. People who'd rather scroll through strangers' feeds than deal with their own boredom. Who thinks solitude is a disease and constant noise is mental health. But I'm gone. Tell you a secret that motivational coaches want you to know. Your brain needs doing nothing moments to function properly. It needs to process information, make connections, organize the mental chaos. And that only happens when you stop constantly bombarding it with input. And speaking of the brain, let me explain what actually happens up there when you're not force-feeding it TikTok videos. When you finally stop consuming content like a mental vacuum cleaner, your brain enters what scientists call the default mode network. It's like Windows sleep mode, but actually when it works hardest. In this state, different brain areas start networking in ways that normally don't happen. This is where those genius shower insights are born. You know when you're re-shampooing and suddenly solve that problem that has been killing you for weeks? Yeah, that's not coincidence. And there is more. Studies show people who spend regular time alone have lower cortisol levels. The hormone that makes you look like a nervous chihuahua. Wonder why? Well, when you're alone, you don't have to pretend you're fine. Don't have to perform for anyone! Don't have to tolerate small talk about whether or pretend you care about other people's problems. It's like taking off a tight bra at the end of the day. Instant relief. Solitude also develops what psychologists call emotional self-regulation. Translation: you learn to deal with your emotions without running to Instagram for validation or dumping your problems on some poor soul via text. It's like training a muscle. If you always escape your emotions through distractions, you never develop the skill to handle them. You stay like a kid who only takes medicine and never builds immunity. It's no coincidence that all the world's contemplative traditions, Buddhism, Christian mysticism, even Greek philosophers hammered on the importance of solitude. They discovered the hard way what neuroscience is proving now. Conscious alone time literally reprograms your brain. Harvard did a study with people practicing just 10 minutes of solitude daily for 8 weeks. Result: less anxious, more focused brain. But of course, it's easier to buy a millionaire mindset course for $997, right? All right, now that you know science is on our side, let's get to what matters. How to use this in practice without becoming a crazy monk? First technique: scheduled digital detox. And relax. I'm not asking you to throw your phone in the trash and live in a cave. I'm asking for something way more radical. 30 minutes a day without any screens. That's right, 30 minutes. Less than a Netflix episode. Pick a fixed time, and during that period, no phone, no Netflix, no educational podcasts, just you and your thoughts. At first, it'll be hell. Your brain will scream for dopamine like an addict in withdrawal. That's normal. You're basically detoxing from a socially acceptable drug. But hang tight. Within a week, you'll notice the difference. Second technique: solitary walks. But listen up. No earbuds, no productive podcasts, no motivational music. Just you, your feet, and the real world. I know it sounds like medieval torture to the generation that QE and go to the bathroom without their phone, but that's exactly why it works. Aristotle called this peripatetic thinking. The rhythm of steps syncs with the rhythm of thoughts. Start with 15 minutes. Leave home without a destination. Let your mind wander. Notice things you normally miss because you're glued to a screen. Will it be uncomfortable? Yeah! Will it be worth more than any productivity course? Absolutely! Third tool: journaling. But forget that Dear Diary crap. I'm going to teach you to use writing to have intelligent conversations with yourself. Grab paper and pen. Yes, paper, not an app. Ask yourself a question. Why am I anxious? Or what's the next most important thing I need to do? Then write whatever comes to mind. No filter. The cool thing is, when you write by hand, you access parts of the brain that stay asleep when you just think. It's like being your own therapist, except it's free and you don't have to talk about your childhood. Fourth technique: turn daily activities into mindfulness moments. Washing dishes, showering, cooking. Instead of doing this on autopilot, thinking about 50 different things, focus on what you're doing. Feel the water on your hands. Observe the movements. Pay attention to textures. Sounds silly? These silly things create microdoses of mental peace throughout the day. It's like taking vitamins for your mind. Fifth technique: create a solitude ritual. Pick a fixed time. Could be morning or before bed. Sit in the same place, turn off your phone, and simply exist for 15 to 20 minutes. You don't need to meditate formally if that intimidates you. Just breathe and observe your thoughts like a curious observer of your own mind. Like a scientist studying lab rats. Except the rat is you. Now all these techniques are cool, but let me teach you the cherry on top. How to use solitude to stop being anxious and become a focus machine. Here's a bomb. No quantum coach will tell you. Anxiety usually isn't about now. It's about stuff that might happen or stuff that already happened. Your brain is on a constant time travel trip, avoiding the only moment that actually exists. When you're alone and anxious, instead of running to TikTok, try staying with the sensation for a few minutes. Where do you feel the anxiety in your body? Chest, stomach, throat. Then ask the crucial question: what exactly am I anxious about right now? Often you discover anxiety is about much more specific and manageable things than that vague feeling of something is wrong. That's a technique I call becoming an observer of your own craziness. Instead of thinking I'm anxious, try thinking I'm observing an anxious thought passing through. Sounds silly, but this perspective shift creates space between you and the emotion. And in that space is your freedom. It's the difference between being dragged by the current and watching the current from a bridge. Solitude is also the perfect environment for strategic life planning without coaches being annoying. When you stop constantly reacting to external stimuli, you can finally ask the important questions. What really matters? Where do I want to be in a year? What am I doing? That's just a waste of time. A lot of anxiety comes from feeling directionless. You're busy as hell, but not going anywhere? It's like running on a treadmill, burning energy but staying in place. I'm gonna give you an exercise you can do today. I call it 15 minutes of productive silence. Take a problem that's causing you anxiety. Sit somewhere quiet with just paper and pen. Set a timer for 15 minutes. During this time, you'll think only about this problem. Nothing else. First, dump everything that comes to mind on paper. Fears, worries, catastrophic scenarios. Don't censor anything. Then organize. What's fact? What's assumption? What can you control? What can you actually do? You will discover that many huge problems that seem like Godzilla in your mind become much more manageable when you put them on paper and analyze them coldly. And this brings me to the end of our conversation, but just the beginning of your journey to stop being a slave to your own anxiety. So, recapping, for those who are distracted, solitude isn't punishment, it's privilege. When used consciously, it decreases anxiety, increases focus, develops emotional intelligence, and turns you into a more interesting person. Because people who know themselves are always more interesting than people running from themselves. The 5 techniques I shared: digital detox, walks without soundtrack, intelligent journaling, everyday mindfulness, and daily ritual are practical tools that work if you USE them, not if you just watch videos about them. And remember, I'm not telling you to become antisocial or a hermit. I'm telling you to develop an adult relationship with yourself, which is the foundation for having adult relationships with other people too. My challenge for you: 7 days, 20 minutes of conscious solitude daily. Pick a time that works, but be consistent. Use one or more of the techniques I taught. At the end of the week, see if you're less anxious, more focused, with more clarity about what matters. And most importantly, see if you stopped being afraid of your own thoughts. If you're up for the challenge, drop in the comments which technique you'll test first. And if you already practice some form of conscious solitude, tell everyone how it went. Your words might be exactly what someone needs to read today. Remember what I said at the beginning? We live in an era of constant connection, but record anxiety. Maybe the solution isn't more connection, but quality connection. Starting with connecting to yourself. Solitude isn't punishment. It's the space where your creativity, wisdom, and mental sanity can finally come out of the closet. It's where you stop being a character in other people's lives and become the protagonist of your own story. Thanks for the attention. If it made sense, hit like, subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, stop watching videos about personal development and go develop personally. Because here at the Anti-Coach Social Club, we do unet sell illusions. Knowledge without action is just entertainment for people who do unet have the guts to change. See you in the next video! And until then, try some silence. I promise it's less scary than your own Instagram stories.